Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the fourth annual, I think, Ball Blab live show. I'm Jason, that's Derek, and that's Jack. How we doing, guys? Long night last night, but how are we doing? Who wants to go first?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Happy to be on here. I know none of us were thrilled with the Yamamoto news. However, at least on behalf of me, I am excited to see Craig Breslow really go to work now.
Yeah, Derek?
We're I don't know. I was sleeping yesterday afternoon. I think I fell asleep around like 4 o'clock or something, or 5, whatever. I don't even know when it was. And then I wake up. I'm up for a couple hours, and I see Yamamoto signs. I'm like, all right, this is my time to go back to bed. I'm like, screw this. I'm not staying up. I knew Twitter was about to start losing it. I knew social media in general. It's the most annoying thing I've had on my Twitter, on the For You side of Twitter. I just see Yankee fan after Yankee fan complaining. Like, I don't want to see it. It's either Yankees fans complaining they didn't get Yamamoto or Red Sox fans complaining about Alex Verdugo. So it's like,
especially today.
Oh my gosh, it's so bad.
That's insane. When
it
Papelbon
was so bad.
Oh, God.
Well, Papelbon, I mean, I was cool with that, but like the Red Sox fans who are just spewing out what other people are spewing out, because it's the cool take to have to just crap on Verdugo is, yeah, I don't really like. I still love the guy, but like he didn't need to go. I'm not gonna crap on him on the way out. I'm not gonna kick him on the way out.
Yeah,
I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, are we better with him or without him? Like, I'm not going to lose sleep over Alex Verdugo. I know other people will, but personally, for me, I'm not losing sleep over Alex Verdugo. Look, he was good in Boston up until the end, and then he kind of fell off a cliff. He was emerging as one of the better guys. He was probably going to get MVP votes in the first half, but I think his time was reached, I guess, and it was time for him to go. And here we are. He went to the rivals. So I could see why a lot of people were mad, but who knows? I mean, at the end of the day, we have a surplus of outfielders. It was time to move on. And we got another one in Tyler O'Neill, who has better defense, and he's a righty and is popping the bat. But I mean, that seems like that happened ages ago, and that was just a couple weeks ago. No?
Yeah, I mean, that trade-off is fine by me. O'Neill's just as good as a defender. He'll give them center field insurance if they aren't confident with who they've got there, but I'm not expecting too much out of that. He's in his last year of arbitration, and it was really just it's a fine swap in and out with Verdugo to get guys like Abreu and Rafael more looks, but still need a lot in that lineup and still need a lot in that rotation. So should we get to the rotation first? Do we have that much time?
Well, I will say this on Tyler O'Neill. I think the deal for Tyler O'Neill, especially with the Verdugo trade, I think it is a little bit of a smart piece of business because you look at like the pieces in that deal. I think we were texting about that, like the trade when it happened. You gave up Nick Robertson, you got for Kike Hernandez, and then you gave up Victor Santos, who, at this point, he missed I think it was all of 2023 with injury. So it's like okay, like he looks solid. He was solid in 22, but like, you're giving up a guy. He's not like this high end pitching prospect. Could he be a big leaguer at some point? Yeah, but he's not like one of those guys with like this massive high upside. So I think like overall, like you pretty much just traded Kike for the most part for Tyler O'Neill. Can you really complain about that? And then you trade Verdugo and you get back, Richard Fitz, who, seems to be a very interesting piece. But hey, we're keeping it PG for now.
Until we go off the rails.
Yes. You also get Weiser, who's intriguing as a reliever. I mean, we'll see. He's mostly just going to be a depth piece, but like depth does not hurt at all. And you got Judice, who's that 6'8" reliever who was drafted. Was it 22? Was he drafted? Like that's just another. Just add that piece to the farm system and see what happens. So I think overall that swap is kind of you get the plus of like getting Verdugo away from the team, which is seemingly needed. You get the plus of bringing in Tyler O'Neill for not much, and then you get the plus of getting that returning off of Verdugo, which seems like a very interesting return. Is it what some people might have been expecting? No, but that's what the value was for Verdugo. It wasn't much, and there's reason for that. We know that. We know why.
Right. Yeah, and I hope I didn't downplay or minimize the two trades. That I think Breslow won both trades that he's made so far. I think for a year of Verdugo and a guy that we didn't really have much leverage with, we knew that we had to move on. The return was pleasing. I mean, pitching depth is something that we needed all last year and in the past too, and that's what they went out and got. So fine by me. And you traded nothing for Tyler O'Neill. So good pickups for sure. I mean, those are both A-grade trades in my books. However, a lot more to do, and I think that's I don't even think most Red Sox fans are saying, oh, these trades suck, keep Verdugo, why Tyler O'Neill, and stuff like that. It's more
just
so
on bigger moves.
Exactly. Yeah. They've spent $1 million and made two not incredibly significant trades, right? So it's what's next. And I think, I don't know exactly when, but I think a move is bound to happen very soon, because at this point, the Red Sox are not choosers. We're beggars. And with the free agency market thinning out, and not a whole lot in the trade market, which is something I'm sure we'll talk about, but they don't like the 1-year guys, and the guys under team control are going to cost a lot. Cease, Kirby, Luzardo, whoever it is. So it's going to be interesting to see how they pivot.
I mean, they did make a signing, this morning?
Hold on. Before we get to that, Jake O'Donnell wanted me to ask you, how do you pronounce his name?
What? Jake O'Donnell?
No. The new guy we got. What's the new catcher we got's name?
How the heck oh, God, I hate Jake. Jake knows I can't pronounce names. Mark... Who the heck has a Z and an S back to back with a V after it?
That guy does.
Kalasvari, I don't care.
Yeah, I think that's a good attempt. That's a good effort there, I think.
A for effort.
Yeah, so him and Roberto Perez, so a couple catchers.
AAA depth, because there's nothing there.
I think it's more than just AAA depth, though. I mean, you look at the guys who moved from AA to AAA last year, and a lot of them regressed or stalled in AAA. And does part of that have to do with Worcester? Yes. Ronaldo Hernandez catching doesn't help. Jorge Alfaro catching in
Ronaldo Hernandez is gone too. Yeah, he's gone too. Obviously,
so, the other guy. Hamilton.
Caleb Hamilton.
Hamilton wasn't bad behind the plate, but you're getting Roberto Perez. You get Roberto Perez to work with these guys all throughout spring training, and then he can go to AAA, and that's like a massive, that's such a big thing for that pitching staff, especially in the minor league, especially in AAA. If Roberto Perez goes to AAA and works with that pitching staff, I think the importance of that signing is it's not necessarily important when you look at direct impact on MLB team in terms of he's not going to necessarily give you much on the big league roster in terms of his production, but he's going to help other people's production when it comes to the pitching staff. He'll work with the big leaguers during spring training. He'll work with the guys presumably in AAA after spring training and during spring training too, which will only perceive you would assume that's going to eventually have an effect on the big league roster as guys get injured and need to bring guys up from AAA. That should only help development pitchers too. And then guy called whatever the hell his last name is, he should help that too. He seems to be, from everything from what people are saying on him, which I don't know a ton about him, but he seems to be a solid defensive catcher. So that seems to kind of be what they're looking for in terms of AAA, because they're not necessarily looking to have this next great AAA catcher who can be like your backup catcher. They're not looking for that. Looking for a guy to manage that pitching staff, and then your next catcher is Kyle Teal. You're not worried about having a next guy in AAA. Your catcher of the future is Kyle Teal. You're just waiting on him, and having Wong and Reese McGuire is a very solid duo. while you wait for Teal. So
Totally.
I think that like those two moves, like Red Sox fans are going to look at them and go like, why are we signing these guys? They're minor league deals. Who cares? It's like not necessarily that you should care, but at the same time, like they're not necessarily nothing moves. I think they'll have at least some sort of impact on the organization.
Yeah, that's a good point. Helping out the AAA staff because they haven't had that in the past years, and pitching in Polar Park itself isn't helpful alone. So yeah, that's it. That's a good point, Derek. Let me ask you guys a question that I actually saw. So aside from Bayo and Casas, who's the most, in your eyes, untouchable asset that the Red Sox have? So basically between Meyer, Teal, and Anthony. Is a tough one.
From like just the big league team or the minor league team included?
Well, who as your
The entire organization?
Yeah, like say out of those three, I guess, because say you're trying to make a trade for a big guy like George Kirby, and those names pop up. Who are you working the hardest to keep and to hold on
Bayo.
to?
Because if you trade Bayo, it's just a lateral.
Between
outside of Bayo and Casas.
Outside of Bayo
so
and Casas,
between
okay.
Anthony, Meyer, and Teal.
You want to go first, Derek?
I have my answer. It's Marcelo Meyer.
He's
you don't take
untouchable.
You don't take a guy with the 4th pick, and then set him up to be the face of your franchise, future face of your franchise, and then after a year, he was great in High A, injures his shoulder, and then played all his time in Double A with the injured shoulder. It's messed up. It was bad. I don't think people realize how bad it probably was.
Yeah.
And then like he was struggling. We with the Pesky Report, myself, Jake O'Donnell, obviously, I don't know. We got the privilege to talk to Philip Sykes, and Sykes is like, yeah, you kind of see him every day going around with the shoulder and whatnot, and you can see that it's like affecting him. And I think when like, obviously we like badger him about details or whatnot, but it was clear something was up in terms of like with his teammates. Teammates knew. And I think so his struggles in Double A, mostly injury related. He had to like change his swing and whatnot, change stuff so he wasn't in as much pain or whatever it was. So like you're not going to trade a guy after he just got injured and struggled a bit in the minor leagues. Like that's not good asset management in my opinion, because has his value maybe taken a little bit of a hit? Yeah, maybe. Now, other teams aren't going to look at him and maybe just drop his stock massively because they know he was injured, and they know they had that an effect on him. But it doesn't keep his stock rising. It slows it down a little bit. Maybe takes it a little hit on it. So I think just in terms of that, I think where he should be viewed, in terms of where the Red Sox should view him, I think he's the most untouchable in terms of, because I don't think what you're going to get back is worth trading him.
You said, can I say Teal?
Yeah.
Jack?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
I just think it's hard to replace a catcher, and you just drafted him. He has a lot of high upside. He's a good all-around player. When was the last time you heard of a good all-around catcher in the Red Sox organization, let alone any organization, right? I think he's going to be in the big leagues as early as this season. I think I think Derek can speak more on behalf of that. He's decent defense, good hitting, and he's only going to get better. And once he, as we see him progress, we're going to see more and more and more from him to see who he is. And look, if he's the catcher that a lot of people think he's going to be really good. He's going to be our first great catcher since probably Tech. Look, Vasquez was pretty good, but
but Tech wasn't even like the greatest like catcher, like in terms of being the greatest player, but he was just like a leader.
Right.
So even that, like Teal can have Tech beat in that aspect in terms of just skill, in terms of how good of a player he is.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'm just saying, just as good of he can be probably better than Veritek. And look, it's hard to get a good all around catcher nowadays. And in my eyes, no one's untouchable for the right guy, because if it's like, if someone like Jesus Luzardo comes available 1-for-1 for Marcelo Meyer, am I doing it? Yes. Right. That's hypothetical.
So you would.
I'm iffy on that.
I would. That's just me, just because of the pitching. I know. Derrick's not into it, but
Derrik, would you do it for Kirby 1-for-1? That's an interesting.
But I don't
idea,
think that's
Jason.
realistic, though. I don't see the Mariners doing that at all. That's what I mean. Like in terms of like untouchable, like Meyer's realistically untouchable because you're not going to get anything. Other teams aren't going to be willing to give up what it will take for the Red Sox to part with him.
Yeah, that makes sense. Teal, it's an interesting one because if you think about it, how many catchers are there who have the elite defense but also the elite bat? Yeah, we saw Sean Murphy do it until he cooled down. Real Muto's done it for a while.
Adley Rutschman,
yeah, but
Will
he
Smith.
cooled down. He definitely cooled down towards the end of the season. I mean, don't get me wrong. Rutschman's awesome. Don't get me wrong. But, like, is the bat as elite as we think? Maybe. Maybe not. I think it's a very, very short list. And I think the fact that you may have that kind of guy is intriguing. But also the unanimous best prospect from his draft at shortstop who you drafted and signed as an overslot in Marcelo Meyer. Like, yeah, that's you can't. Are you going to give up on that? I would say no. So for me, it's Meyer. But
I'm pretty sure Meyer was slot value actually.
Meyer
was slot value. Yeah, they didn't go over slot for Meyer.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, my answer stays the same.
It's still the same answer
Anthony.
though, but
I'm surprised no one said Anthony.
I don't know.
Here's the thing with Roman Anthony, and this is like the thing of, like, they kind of are crowded in the outfield at the big league level now, and not that you cannot find room for Roman Anthony. You definitely can, but finding room for Roman Anthony means you got to move other pieces, and it's not just moving one piece. You probably got to move like 2 more pieces, because even if we consider, Tyler Neal's not going to be here after this year, right? Okay, where's Yoshida going to play, right? Maybe you move him at DH, okay? You still have William Abreu, you still have Duran, you still have Cedar Rafaela, okay, now you got to move at least one of those guys, and that's if Yoshida's even playing DH. If Yoshida's going to play left field, you got to move 2 of those 4 guys to get Roman Anthony in there. So it is a little bit of like, it's like, okay, it's like, I think you would see a more realistic possibility where Roman Anthony trade would happen. Not that, like, I think it's happening. I think he's just, like, a little bit more likely than Meyer, just for that, like, scenario of, like, he gets to the big leagues and he's, like, we get to 2025 and he's pushing on the door of the big leagues. But, like I said, you have those 4 guys there, and all of them are, unless any of them get moved, they're all still going to be there. So you are running into that a little bit of, like, okay, where do you put them? Whereas with Meyer, it's kind of clear. It's like, oh, no, this guy's the shortstop. Like, Story will move over. And if Story doesn't move over, Meyer can play another infield spot. It's not like it's the end of the world.
Do you think he'll end up playing another infield spot in his career, or do you think his shortstop is his?
Oh, I mean, like, he might occasionally play, like, a third base at some point, or occasional second base, maybe, like, early on. Or if he's, like, a midseason call-up, I could see it. But, like, once they give him the keys to shortstop, I think he's holding it down. I don't think he's playing elsewhere.
Yeah,
100%.
I think. Yeah, Derek, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, like, maybe when he gets older, like, he could move over to, like, a third base, but, like, that's so far down the road that, like, it's not really, like, a consideration.
Yeah. I think shortstop's it's kind of what you've been working towards with him. I kind of hope the lack of second base production in a way is because they've wanted to kind of wanted to bridge it for Meyer, to slot Story over, and then he gets short. But I think Anthony is probably the least sure of the 3. You know what I mean? I mean, after one just ridiculously good season, you wonder, okay, is he going to regress a little bit, or is he again going to excel and progress? You know what I mean? So I'm a little bit less confident in how his development will go compared to the other 2, just because I'm not sure if it was a one-hit wonder. I'm not saying it was. I just feel like we can't be sure, if that makes sense.
The test will be when he goes back to AA, because the biggest jump in the minor leagues is high A to AA. When he moves into AAA, I mean, Worcester is so hitter friendly.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Rafaela got called up to Worcester and he just started just demolishing baseballs, right? Like, and that's nothing against Rafaela, but like it is very hitter friendly. I think like Nico Cavadas went there and just started hitting nukes, and it's like, hold on, it's like okay, what are we doing? It is very much hitter friendly. Ball flies in Worcester, so I and that's the thing that I worry too with like pitching in the Red Sox system. It's like, cool, we get guys to AAA, and then the ball just flies in Worcester, and it's like okay, it's like how much of it is just the ball flies in Worcester, and how much is it maybe they're actually struggling? Like, there's also that part to it as well. And the same thing for hitters is how much of them are actually like playing that well in AAA. Like Bobby Dahlbeck, for example, love Dahlbeck, but like how much of his success in AAA is him being Bobby Dahlbeck, and how much of it is just the ball flies like stupidly at Polar Park? Because don't get me wrong, he's more than good enough to have the type of success he had in AAA last year. But it doesn't hurt to be in a ballpark like Polar Park at all for half of your games.
Totally.
Does not
and
hurt.
I think like Rafaela came up and he was hitting in AAA and he ended up like hitting pretty well in the big leagues, I would say. Same thing with Abreu, who was awesome. So I think that that hitter-friendly park can give guys a lot of confidence coming to the big leagues, which is helpful at first, although eventually, the scouting.
But we saw it with like an Emmanuel Valdez who started really well and then
Oh
kind of
yeah,
cooled off.
that's another good example. Valdez was crushing the ball, and we were like, oh.
But that also happens too when some guys like Michael Chavis came up and was crushing baseballs for the first month or so.
Same thing. Yeah, totally. So I mean, that could be like a factor. We've had a lot of guys come up and contribute right away on offense, and maybe that's because they're raking in AAA, so they have the confidence, and eventually the scouting reports catch on. Maybe I'm overreading.
Hey, Jaron Duran that went to AAA this year was tearing the cover of the ball, and then we obviously saw the change that he had this offseason. We really saw it play out at the big league level this year. So it's not that it's like a. I'm not saying like these guys in AAA, like they're only doing well because they're hitting in Worcester, but it is a little bit of like how much of it is the fact they are in Worcester and how much of it is, because it is hard to measure that to some extent, especially when it comes, like, for example, people who play and this is the extreme example, but guys who play in Colorado, how much of it is them playing in Colorado and how much of it is they're actually a good hitter?
Story,
right?
Perfect example.
And Colorado's perfect for Story because of the gaps. The gaps are massive in Colorado, so he can just spray the ball into the gaps, double, triple it just all the time. And then with his pure power, some of those balls are going to turn into home runs because you're at cores and the ball flies.
CJ Cron's an interesting one.
Exactly, right? Goes to Colorado and starts just tearing the cover off of the baseball, right? So there is always that kind of thing of like, how much is it like the ballpark and the situation there?
Right.
But you also see certain guys have success at pitcher-friendly ballparks sometimes, and it's like, so it is like kind of like, it's like Juan Soto this past year with the Padres. It's like his overall numbers are down, but then you look at his numbers at Petco and you go, oh, he just sucks at Petco. It's because all of his road games, his numbers are still Juan Soto level. But you look at his home numbers and that's not Juan Soto. So you look at, okay, how much of that is the fact that he sucks at Petco? Probably a decent amount. But if his numbers were down across the board, then you're probably going, no, because he's also struggling on the road, but he wasn't. So that's the kind of thing that is especially in the minor leagues, because there's only so many stats that are available in the minor leagues. In AAA, there's more now, but it's still like, especially when you get down to AA and high A and low A, you're kind of like, especially when we want to talk like a Roman Anthony, like there's only so much. Like Salem is like, hitters, you don't hit home runs in Salem, especially early in the year. That's why he was struck. That's why like he was hitting like 250 in Salem, right? You just don't hit in Salem. Then he goes up to Greenville, starts tearing the cover off the baseball. Like, well, I mean, he already was, but like he's getting more hits and whatnot, and hitting for more power, hitting more homers. Then he ends up going to AA and had that good little cameo there. So it is that kind of like balance of trying to figure out how much of it is the ballpark and how much of it is how good the player actually is.
Yeah, it's an interesting. I mean, Jason, you obviously said Story. The verdict's out for him, right? I mean, injury riddled first 2 years and very disappointing first 2 years. What do you guys? I mean, I think that's a good topic of conversation. What's 2024 going to be like for Trevor Story?
I mean, right now you like the glove more than the bat, just because shortstop last season was such a black hole.
Yeah.
To get a solidified defender and someone who can actually throw the ball. Sorry, Kike. Like, yeah. I mean, it's better. It's better to hear because he's not only is he going to improve the defense up the middle, he's going to help Devers, who had 19 errors in a season where the scores were very lenient, right?
Very.
I always say to people, oh, you see 19 errors. I always add 2 because there was a couple where I'm like, yeah, he probably should have gotten the error. So just for the sake of this, he probably would have made over 20 errors. Devers would have made over 20 errors. I think Story would have probably mitigated his defensive woes a little bit. But at the same time, it's like when you look at Story, yeah, sure, the defense is good, but how much in the grand scheme of things is that going to really improve the team as a whole with a full season of him there? I think the jury's still out on that. I think it is because he was a Gold Glover at second base. If he can be a Gold Glover at shortstop, great. So, and then the batting side, I mean, the bat has not been there. I mean, weeks at a time. I mean, we saw the series against Seattle 2 years in 2022. So I think realistically what you're looking at for Story, I think 20 home runs is reasonable and a batting average of about 250. I think that's expectations. I think that's my expectation for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you can get right around like 800 OPS, he's going to strike out, but the glove's there, and if he can be an above average bat, give you some pop in the middle to, I don't know, assuming you get a solid DH to protect Devers, maybe he's hitting 5, 6, maybe he's hitting higher. It depends on how you like to formulate the righties and lefties, right? We know they're heavy on lefties, so Cora has to kind of get unique with that. But I mean, last year he only played 37 games, and he was second in the team in D-WAR behind Wong.
Story's so outrageous defensively because he was tied for 7th in defensive runs saved among all shortstops in baseball last year, and he was 8th in outs above average, and he played 314 innings at shortstop.
Yeah,
all the other guys there are playing like over 1,000 innings at shortstop.
His D-WAR was 1 in 37 games. That's insane.
Second to Verdugo, I assume. Right? On the team, you said second in D-WAR?
To Wong.
To Wong?
Yeah, Wong was the second or third best defensive catcher per D-WAR last year. He was awesome. Yeah, very good. And then Verdugo was third, and then it was a bunch of nothingness, basically.
Bunch of nothingness.
I mean, that's basically what it was. And then you dip into the negatives. But anyways, the defense, like Derrik just laid out, was unbelievable. It's all you could ask for, especially coming off that injury. The bat, it can be a little bit scary. It was hot and cold in the first year. Then he went to the toe tap with his left foot. Was better at the end of 2022. 2023 just didn't go as planned. If the power's there, and the strikeouts are going to be there too, but if he can be right around that 800 OPS, like, I'll take that.
You don't need anything crazy out of him. You just need Trevor. So what I think what your ideal situation of what you get out of Trevor Story is like something, you're hoping, obviously OPS around 800, but like if you look at his 2021 year, he was actually a below league average hitter in terms of weighted runs created plus. He had a 98 weighted runs created plus, and then in 22 he had a 100 weighted runs created plus. If he can get a little higher than that, around like the 110 range, and get closer towards that 115 to 120 to 125 range here he's normally been during like the peak of his career. If he can get up towards like the 110 weighted runs created plus, which I know that's just one stat, so it's like kind of like it's hard to like envision what that might exactly be. But if he can be 10% better hitter than league average and bring elite defense with what his contract is, it does make that contract worth it per year if that's what he does every year the rest of the way. And especially him playing shortstop now, it just makes him that much more valuable. And then you also have the side effect of him playing shortstop is going to help Devers out defensively. We saw it last year that Devers 0 defensive runs saved with Story at short. at third base for Devers. And then with like Kike, it was like terrible. I don't even know what the number is, but it was not good defensively. It was negative something. That's all I know. It was not good. So I think there is that I think that's enough of a sample size, more than 30 games to go. Okay, there's definitely something there with Story and Devers defensively. And I think there is some sort of an effect. How big that effect is, we'll find out over the course of a season, but I think there is something to that. So I think overall for Story, you're just hoping to get a guy. In a perfect world, Story is not your number one right-handed hitter in your lineup. But with how lefty heavy, if he's your number 2 right-handed hitter in this lineup, that would be okay. The problem is who's going to be the right-handed hitter that they get that's better than Trevor Story that fits their team, because at this point it's really just a DH, and they don't really want a guy who's going to mostly DH. They've kind of made that a known thing. They don't really want a most or full-time DH.
They want to go DH by committee this year.
Exactly, and trying to find another right-handed hitter while keeping the DH by committee thing is going to be extremely tough. I think the only way they do DH by committee is they don't bring in another bat as like a DH. They go get a second baseman, and then they live with Yoshida and Devers and Casas all like rolling through the DH spot.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But the reality is, say they got a righty. I know some names, Jury, Ha-Sung Kim, other guys like that stick out. Say they do get a solid righty. Your Story's still probably your best right-handed hitter. And at that point, like, okay.
Maybe. I mean, we're not asking to build a World Series team, but, like, let's be a team that can at least push for the playoffs and, like, hopefully make the playoffs.
Right. And I think at that point, it's like, I'd rather something give and them realize it's going to be really hard to go with DH by committee and really hit on the second baseman. I mean, Derek, you basically just said it. I mean, it's going to be hard for them to get the ideal guy that they're looking for. And for me, that's like, all right, change of plans. Let's go for the all in DH. You know who I'm going to say? Rhys Hoskins, baby. Bring him in. I know Derek isn't thrilled about that. But
because I'm saying I'm not thrilled about it. It just totally forgoes their whole DH by committee thing that they've been saying that's the plan. You know what I mean?
So it does, absolutely. But hear me out. You got to change directions because the lineup is just not going to be. If you don't have. Okay, let me ask you: can Justin Turner be in the playing cards for 2024 if you do DH by committee?
No.
Exactly.
No.
So who in the world is going to protect Devers?
That's the $1 million question. That's the $1 million question.
Exactly. And Hoskins isn't ideal there. I know he strikes out a bit, but the guy's got serious power. 2018, 19, 21, 22 combined, 120 home runs. That's 30 apiece, 856 career OPS. Hoskins is the answer on a 1 or 2 year deal. You let him be the full-time DH, backup first baseman, and you roll with Yoshida in the outfield. You didn't pay this guy $18 million a year plus the fee to eventually become basically the full-time DH in year 2. Eventually, yeah, maybe year 3, 4, 5, sure. But I think you got to get more from Yoshida in the outfield. And I forget who it was, but somebody broke down his why his outs above average was so bad and why his D-WAR was so bad. And if you look at it, the plays that he got rated poorly on, a lot of them were due to field factors,
Fenway,
or park factors. A lot of them had to do with Fenway. So at this point, it's like, I'm willing to let the guy roll, give him a shot in left field. With your defense is already going to be better with ideally a solid second baseman, Story. Hopefully Devers can get back to where he was a year ago, where he was just solid. Seti Rafi and Duran in the outfield too. Like, I think it's going to be all right on defense. Go get me a legit bat, and I think Rhys Hoskins does that.
Yeah. You have don't forget at times. I know he's not going to be the guy, but don't forget you have Tyler O'Neill, right? He's not going to be above Story, but still, if he gets hot, remember he had a down.
We get 21 Tyler O'Neill.
You see where I'm going with that? If he had 2021 Tyler O'Neill, boom,
3 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly.
I mean, hey,
like, is this us holding on for every inch of something that we can get, or can we be like, instead of
I mean,
banking
he's on
somebody
a
tapping something.
contract. He has one more year before he hits free agency. He needs to prove himself after a bad year. He's a righty. He's at Fenway. Righties hitter friendly. I mean, if he can do that, boom, awesome. Let's get this show on the road. But in the meantime, exactly. I mean, you guys hit the nail on the head there. Like, who's gonna back up Devers? No one in the lineup can back him up. What, you're gonna have who? Duran? No. I mean, how do you assess getting another bat?
It have to be right now. I know it's just dumb to say right now because it's December 22nd. But if you made a lineup today, like it might have to be Casas, and then you're lefty.
That's
right. I'll read you what the lineup is on Fangraphs right now.
Okay.
Has the lineup as Duran, Devers, Casas, Story, Yoshida, Abreu, O'Neill, Valdez, and Connor Wong. And then they have their platoon. They have Valdez in a platoon with Bobby Dahlbeck at second base, which we know isn't going to happen. But that's just what they put down. And then they have Abreu in a platoon with Rob Refsnyder.
Yeah. So speaking of lineups, kind of.
Oh, actually, if we want to, can we stick on the DH discussion?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Please.
Because outside of Rhys Hoskins and Justin Turner, which have been the two most discussed names, you guys want to know what the other options for DH are? And JD Martinez.
JD Martinez?
No, he's a non-option. No, that's not happening.
Yeah, it's Jorge Soler and a bunch of nobodies.
It's Jorge Soler, who wouldn't seem to be terrible, but like still a little risky. Because he just had the second best year of his career last year, in terms of weighted runs created plus. Or you go the route I want Mitch Garver, and that would intrigue me, because last year in 87 games for the Rangers, 138 weighted runs created plus, 270 average, 370 on base, 500 slugging, 24% K rate with a 13% walk rate. Also hit 19 homers in those 87 games. Like
it's an interesting. I think it's,
and he can be a third catcher as well on the team. You need
Yeah, it's interesting that you. The thing is, Derrik was last year an outlier for him. I know he had a couple good years with the Twins, but is last year an outlier for him? Can you trust him as your? Because when we think about who's going to be the DH and who you're going to go sign to bat third behind Devers, assuming it's not Turner, who's going to replace Turner? Is it? So do you trust Mitch Garver to do that? Do you trust?
I'm not saying I think Story would hit third and Garver hits like fifth.
Yeah, but
I think your lineup in that case, you're looking at something along the lines of like, I think in that case, Duran, Devers, Story, Casas, Garver in the 5 spot, and then it's like Yoshida, Abreu, O'Neill. I mean, not O'Neill. O'Neill probably doesn't get in because he's probably on the bench in that case.
Yeah.
Then you're looking at like a second baseman and Connor Wong in the 8 and 9 spots after like Abreu, Yoshida and Abreu in the 6 and 7.
It's interesting.
It's interesting. I don't think it's going to happen, but like I think it's an option that should be considered because
it's a fun thought. What would a contract projection in your eyes look like for that? Around
Garver's projection, according to Fangraphs, the crowdsource projection is 2 years, $20 million.
Okay, so 10 a year, yeah.
It's not bad. That's not terrible.
It's not bad, and he's going to be. It's his age 33 season next year, so it's not like he's super old either.
Yeah, honestly,
but that kind of goes a little bit away from their DH by committee thing that they've been going on.
Definitely.
But any of these moves do, and that's kind of the problem. The only like saving grace with like Garver, I guess, it's like he did catch 230 innings last year. Not that he was good behind the plate, but like you have a third catcher in that case, right? Something happens to like a Reese McGuire or a Connor Wong, he can catch occasionally if you need him to.
Who's your backup first baseman though?
That's another question.
That's the question.
Right now it's Dahlbeck. They have to go internal.
That exactly.
Michael P.
And it's not like I'm sure if they really needed to, you probably could try Garver at first base. I wouldn't, but like, I would have to assume someone on the team can play first base, right? I mean,
yeah.
So come on, like we gotta find someone. Like even if it's, I know Dahlbeck,
Pablo Reyes.
Pablo Reyes can play first base. Not that it'd be
Yeah.
good. I think that's still like an external move, but like that's not necessarily a move that is like that's not like top of the list, because you could very well go and like throw out a kind of a dart throw on like like a Garrett Cooper, for example.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. I mean, for me, DH, if they bring back Turner, I'm not going to be mad at all. Like, there's your backup first baseman, backup third baseman, insurance at second if you really need it. Obviously, super clutch hitter, drives in runs, great leadership, great in the dugout. But for me, like, I keep getting pointed back to Hoskins just because I want the upside in the bat. And I think we can both agree. All of us can agree. You're not getting Bellinger, so who gives you the most upside and the most boom potential?
Hey, Derrik,
I think it's Hoskins.
Quickly, what's Hoskins' Fangraphs contract projection? Is it a 1-year deal or is it a multi-year deal? Because he might get a multi-year deal because he's Boris.
Right. Spotrac had him around like 3 for $60, which
Hoskins is projected 1 year, $14 million.
That makes sense.
That's the crowd, and that makes a lot of sense. Considering he is coming off the injury.
Yeah, in a 1 year, prove it. Like, he does his thing. He'll probably hit around 250, but if he hits north of 25 bombs and he's slugging, like, yeah, he's going to get paid next offseason. You know what I mean? So it makes sense for me.
Yeah, my only thing with like Hoskins, the only like concern in that case is like, yeah, he is coming off of, an injury that can take a little bit of time in terms of like getting back to your best. Yeah. So there is always that little bit of concern, especially with injuries where you miss a whole season. Like, there always is concerns. I think him DHing more often would definitely help with him coming off the injury. But like at the same time, there is like that thing in the back of your head where it's like I like Rhys Hoskins. I think he fits, but like at the same also too, my other thing is like at the same time, it's like, okay, Rhys Hoskins solves your backup first base problem, but like you still kind of don't have a backup third baseman. Like, kind of don't. So there is also that. Like, I know, like we've talked about like a Brandon Drury at second base, and he can play first and third. So like that would solve that. But my only issue with Drury that gets me a little concerned is like you have Story, who strikes out a lot and doesn't walk a ton, and you have Tyler O'Neill, who strikes out a ton and doesn't walk a ton.
And Hoskins,
although O'Neill's walk rates have gone up the last 2 years, have gotten better, but overall over the course of his career, still a low walk rate. And then you have Brandon Drury, strikes out a lot, doesn't walk a lot, right? So, and all three are kind of power guys. So it is a little bit of like, are these three guys a little bit too similar to be like your three main righties in a lineup? There's a little bit of like, I don't know on that.
There's definitely concern there. I think, again, at this point in the offseason,
if you bring him in as a utility guy, and he plays like 80 games, and most of them at second base, cool, I don't have a problem. But I think the problem comes if he's playing the majority of games and O'Neill's playing the majority of games, as well as obviously Trevor Story. I think that's where the problem starts to come in.
So are you not accounting for Hoskins?
I mean, I don't think like a Drury and like a Hoskins would be like mutually exclusive. Like, I don't think if you get one, but like that's the thing too with like a Drury where it is a little bit like I feel like you could still get him. I feel like you could still get him even if you get like a full-time DH, right?
Oh, totally, yeah. Because he won the Gold Glove as the utility man. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, he can play everywhere. Yeah,
and that's the upside to him. And especially if Tyler, the thing is too that makes the Drury thing a little rough. Like I said, with those three righties all being somewhat similar, but like, what's Tyler O'Neill's role going to be next year? Like that also, we have no clue. Is he going to be a bench outfielder? And are we going to roll with like 5 outfielders with Yoshida playing left, Duran in center, and Abreu in right? And then it's what? On the bench is Ref Snyder and O'Neill, and then what? Rafaela goes to AAA to start the year because there's nowhere to put him. Like, what's his role next year? And that's also, and the Red Sox, I wouldn't be shocked if you see another outfielder get moved this offseason.
Oh, yeah. That I
would not be shocked.
Yeah, Jason and I have talked about this, but if they swing a trade for a pitcher, we could totally see like Abreu being a sweetener. Or
I could see a Duran
decent
going
piece.
as like a headlining.
It depends
piece.
what
Totally.
team, because
Totally.
if you're trying to trade for a Milwaukee starter, you're probably gonna need a third team. No.
Yeah, because like Duran doesn't
Maybe.
fit what like the Brewers. They don't need necessarily an outfielder, but at the same time, I think you try and fit that package around like a Cutter Crawford or Houck, plus like prospects. But
Right.
like
I know it was
then, it
reported
is a
by.
little tough.
York getting thrown in every trade.
Yeah. But like it sucks for Nick. It sucks because like I love Nick York, but at the same time, when I look at prospects that are guys in the system to trade, Nick York is the first guy where it's like,
Yes,
yeah,
yeah.
I think you can trade him.
He's log jammed. Let's
A
be
little
honest,
bit,
guys.
well, I wouldn't say he's necessarily log jammed because I wouldn't be shocked if he starts this year in AAA, and then he's one step away from the big leagues, whereas Meyer will be 2 steps away. So he is ahead of Meyer in that sense. But like in a perfect world, in like 2 years, we're looking at Meyer at shortstop and probably Trevor Story at second base in a perfect world. And so there, but you also can't make a trade based off what you think the perfect world is going to be in 2 years.
Yeah, that's
so.
A good
There's
point.
also that side of it too. But when you do look at process, like I don't think it's worth trading Miguel Blaze right now coming off that injury. I don't think it's worth it. He showed enough upside where I just don't think it's worth what you would be getting for him. So I think you keep him. I think Teal makes no sense to trade. I think Roman Anthony makes no sense. I think Meyer makes no sense. And obviously you have like the Bayo and Casas make no sense. And then at that point, it's like Devers isn't getting traded, regardless of whether you think it would make sense or not. He's not getting traded. So it's like Duran's number one guy in the organization with like probably the most value that I could see being dealt. And then for position players, next is probably Nick York. It's just kind of where it is.
I think I sent out a tweet about this, I think, but my ideal case scenario and how they round out the lineup is signing Hoskins and trading for Drury, because Drury fixes he's your everyday second baseman. He can slot in at probably every other infield spot if needed. I'm not sure about first.
I wouldn't put him at shortstop, but he can play everywhere else.
But he could play third, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean that's huge, and right-handed power there too. Perfect, like seventh hitter, seventh hole hitter, and then Hoskins we just went over, and I think at that point you have Yoshida there too. And I know you're worried about the strikeout to walk ratio, but you still have Casas and Yoshida who don't strike out a lot and who are, well, Casas has gotten it down, but who walk a lot and who are going to get on base. And it's going to be, again, like we can't, at this point in the offseason, we can't have our ideal picks for everything. I think you kind of have to go for the offensive upside. And I think that's what Drury and Hoskins give you. And I think at that point you have Yoshida in left. You work out the center fielder. If you trade Duran, then it's Rafaela, or vice versa. Or if you keep them both, Rafaela's in AAA. Or you work out right field too with O'Neill and Abreu. Again, Cora said that whoever is going to be there is going to have to earn that spot.
It's an open competition in spring training.
Totally. So, I mean, for me, that's the best way to sort out this lineup. And if you look at that on paper, okay, you've got Duran, Devers, Hoskins, Casas, Story, Yoshida, Drury, Abreu, Wong, basically. Like
my only other thing with Drury though is like, are the Angels really gonna trade him? Like, are the Angels like the Angels are dumb? Because... No. Here's the thing: the Angels are dumb. Like that's the thing. They're dumb.
But here's the thing, Derek. He's on a 2-year.
I know. I'm aware of that. He's on a 1-year deal. Doesn't mean the Angels aren't dumb. And like that's the thing. They still want to win. And it's like we're gonna try and win.
I think with
It's
a year left on his deal, $8.5 million. You throw him would you throw him Emmanuel Valdez?
That's iffy.
It's a tough one. But my point is like you can get a deal done without breaking the bank. I don't think
I'd go 1-for-1 on that. No.
Okay, then maybe you throw in a sweetener, a AAA sweetener, a AA sweetener, whatever it is.
Tyler McDonough.
That's my thought process.
No, I meant like I don't know if I would want to go 1-on-1, like just flip Valdez straight up for Drury, just in terms of in that case, because like I do think Valdez's bat does have high upside. Yeah, the defense is like concerning somewhat, but like
Yeah. No,
if he does
totally
fix
true.
the defense, like there is something there.
Yeah, I want to see what BTV says about Jury.
Like they have him at 1.1 in terms of his value.
Huh.
Oh wow! So then Valdez would probably be an overpay.
Probably but the thing is too, it's like I said, it's the Angels and the Angels are dumb. So like
yeah, so maybe they hold on instead of getting whatever they can for him.
Exactly, and that's what I mean. Like it's just that like really like tough thing of like you're dealing with the Angels. The Angels are somewhat similar to the Rockies in right now, where it's like who the heck knows what they're doing because it feels like everything they do isn't logical. It's like you don't trade Ohtani at the deadline.
I will give them what they did at the deadline, though. I will give them. They went all in because they knew they had to. They had one more shot with Ohtani. They traded their top prospects for rentals. You have to. I'll give them that. They kind
of just burned like a decent chunk of their farm system to be honest, they were a long shot to make the playoffs. And you burnt a decent chunk of your farm system.
But at the time, I feel like at the time they were still in it. At the time, they were very much still in it.
The Red Sox were more in it than them, though. The Red Sox were more in it than the Angels were.
But they were still in it, and they did more at the deadline.
Christian Campbell.
I feel like it was a lot of hindsight, too.
Yeah,
but I get your point
there. But they very well could have just, like, at the time of the deadline, I'm like, why? Like, they probably should trade Ohtani. Like, because everyone knew he wasn't re-signing with the Angels.
Right, it was bad for it's bad for business to re-sign with the Angels. The league definitely doesn't want it, and other teams are going to overpay.
They weren't going to win,
and they weren't going to win
with them. So it's like, why would you re-sign there? So now you're just stuck in that spot of like, okay, well, we're going to try and win and whatnot, but it's like he was never going to stay there. Any person with like a logical thinking brain would have been, we're going to get value for him before he leaves, so we at least have something to build off of heading into next year. The Angels, they're building off of nothing right now because they have to deal with the fact that they just traded prospects for guys like Giolito and whatnot, who they waived because they were so bad after the deadline. And then also too, and now Ohtani's out the door and he's right next door to you. And it's like, you had no shot. The Angels weren't even a finalist for Ohtani. It was Dodgers, Mets, Yankees, and then even before the Angels, there are probably a handful of teams ahead of the Angels. So at some point, like, that's what I mean. Like, no one knows what the Angels are doing. They're almost like the Rockies, where it's like no one knows what the Rockies are doing.
They could just randomly, excuse my language, pull Blake Snell out of their ass and be like, yeah, here you go.
Exactly. No one knows what they're doing, and that's the problem with the Angels. It's like they're almost too dumb for their own good, because sometimes I feel like they don't even know what they're doing. It's just like, we're going to try and win. It's like, did you look at your roster? You had Trout and Ohtani, and you still couldn't win, and now you lose Ohtani and you think you're going to win? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, they've done so many like exec changes and stuff. I mean, it's pretty unfortunate. I mean, look, they try to every year. Rendon, unfortunate. They try to bring in the big guys. I mean, and Trout, yeah. I mean, look, unfortunately, he's injury prone, and his best years are probably behind him, or are behind him.
Yeah, no, they are right. Like, it's not like he's still really, really good, Mike Trout, but it's not that like best.
He's not 2016 Mike Trout.
Exactly, right? And like I said, he's still very good, but he's not that, number one. He's not best player in baseball, Mike Trout, anymore. And also too, it's like they've made some dumb decisions. Like Angels, we're gonna go after Garrett Cole. We missed on him. Turn around and give the same exact contract right to Rendon. They just straight up, they literally pivoted with the check in their hands, and they just like crossed out Cole's name and put Rendon's name on it and said, "Here you go."
They panic.
It's like, and that's the thing. It's like I think sometimes they don't even know what their next move is, and that's the thing.
Last offseason, when they were going all in for Ohtani's last year, is interesting. Like Renfroe, Urshela, Tyler Anderson.
Yeah.
it was like, all right, this is kind of all over the place. Are you going to try and bring in like these are fine role players and whatever, but
And they were banking on Rendon to be like 2019 Rendon,
right?
And it's like
right, and
No
he's like one
habla
of the worst
inglés.
contracts in baseball right now. So yeah.
How have we gone almost an hour without talking about pitching?
Yeah, I was just
because we're trying to avoid it. That's why.
Let's pivot to pitching.
It's a big elephant in the room.
Guys, give me 60 seconds. I'll be right back.
I am timing you. Okay. So, Derek,
Yes,
I guess this is a commercial break.
This pitching situation that is annoying.
Yeah.
I mean, let's start with this, right? Yamamoto to the Dodgers, obviously. Makes sense, right?
Yeah,
like
100%.
Makes sense, like obviously. But it does it is a little worrisome in some sense because it's like, okay, the Dodgers got him. It's like, where are the Yankees going to pivot to? Are they pivoting to someone? Okay. But the thing is, like, are the Yankees really going to get Montgomery after trading him not even like a year and a half ago for Harrison Bader?
I don't see that.
I don't think so. But like, does Imanaga doesn't really fit them? Blake Snell, I don't think he really fits. Like, I don't think there's really a starter that fits the Yankees. I think it's kind of Yamamoto or bust for them. But like, they're the Yankees. They very well could just be like, oh no, we're gonna flip to like Montgomery, and then it's like, oh great. It's like, there's that. And
I worry the Blue Jays are going to do something. I'm worrying the Blue Jays are going to make. They love to make starting pitching moves, right? And they got Ryu off the books, so their rotation is it's still really good right now. It's Gosman, Barrios.
Especially if they trade Manoah, which has been just discussion. That's been a discussion supposedly. Yeah. So
he's a change of scenery guy.
But like the thing is, he's still only 25. He'll be 20 next year. I think it's age 26 season. He turns 26. I'm pretty sure before the start of next year. But yeah, he had a rough year. But like, you're telling me you can't go into the year with Manoah as your number 5 starter?
You definitely can.
Like that's the thing. Like,
so
like the Blue Jays aren't totally out of like making a move. It's like, and that's the issue. I have with what the Red Sox plans are in terms of like the starting market. Yes, it's dwindling, but like there's so many teams that are that you don't really know if they're making a move or not. Like, and that's the thing. It's like, because like, do the Yankees really need like another like top end starter? No. But they still went after Yamamoto like their life depended on it, right?
Right. Were the Yankees a team that, like the Mets, it was Yamamoto or bust? They're not going to look elsewhere, right? Sure. I think it would have been more of a nightmare.
Starter.
Oh, no. I think any team in the league could use another starter.
Well, but I mean, the Yankees especially. What you have Cole, and then it's Rodon, Nestor Cortez, Clark Schmidt, and then Clayton Beater. Like,
yeah, they will get another starter, I think.
They definitely could, and that's the
which
thing
one it is.
And that's the thing too. It's
I'm
like,
wondering,
but like, I don't think any of the free agents really fit the Yankees. I mean, I think the Yankees are much more likely than the Red Sox to go out and try and get like no, that would be the. If the Yankees did that,
for our sake, for
the Red Sox, I'm down for Stroman. I've always been down for Stroman. I would live for the chaos that it would cause on Red Sox Twitter if the Red Sox got Stroman. I would live for that.
I wonder if the Yankees look at a reunion with Jordan Montgomery.
But I was just saying earlier, like,
you're looking at the same deal as Rodon, though. I think you're looking at the exact same deal as Rodon.
Yep.
6-1-6.
And they just traded him a year and a half ago for Harrison Bader. Like,
which was awful, but they were ready. They were ready to pull the trigger on $300 million for Yamamoto. So what's going to stop them from doing $150 million for half of that?
Because Yamamoto was the generational talent.
Yes, but
what's going to stop them is an aging free agent that's going to prevent them from signing Juan Soto to a long-term deal. I think they were Yamamoto or bust, in my opinion.
I think they still need another starter though at the very least.
I think so for sure. It could be
I don't know. I think there might be Yamamoto or bust on the top end guys, but like there's still going to be a player in the market.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm just saying in terms of like the big contracts, they're done. Just they need like a guy with upside.
Like Giolito.
Right? Yeah, Giolito. A good example, but is he going to get a multi-year deal? Probably.
Yeah, probably.
I think
Maybe-
so.
Where's
I think
Fangraphs?
so.
Pull up Fangraphs.
Let's see. Giolito. He is projected at 2 years, 30 million. But I've seen some people say like 3 years, 40. Like 3 years, like 40.
Like Eflin. Want to use the Eflin deal as a basis?
Yeah.
I've seen people use that, but then you're starting to get a little risky with it, right? Like you're starting to get a little risky. But here's the thing. Let's talk about the Red Sox. Go back to the Red Sox for a second, because I've seen the Andrew Friedman quote going around of like it's like essentially like a thing of like if you're logical on every free agent, you'll finish in third place on every free agent. It's like someone tell the Red Sox that, or tell John Henry that. Like it feels like I feel like we're in this point where it's like under Heim and even like under Breslin somewhat. I think we don't really know under Breslin, but like under Heim, we were in this thing of like we're not going past our price point on any free agents, and that's why they lost out. I feel like on a bunch of free agents, whereas now it's like, and then maybe it's an ownership thing and it's not like a front office thing, and maybe ownership has changed because of what Dombrowski put them in, the situation Dombrowski put them in, but it's very much a thing of like, are they not going past their values for guys and being like, once it goes past this number, we're out on this guy? And if they are, that's a good way to miss out on a bunch of free agents, because 95% of the time it's going to cost more than you'd like to pay the guy, but you need that guy. If you need that guy on your team, you got to be willing to pay it. And like, that's what happens when you don't develop pitching for how many years? Like, that's just what happens. The Red Sox have to pay for pitching, whether it's in dollars or prospects, because they haven't been able to develop their own pitching
That dates back to Theo Epstein. I don't mean to interrupt you. I mean, he said something on the lines of like we don't develop pitching. We got to figure out ways to acquire and pay for pitching and use the surplus of position player prospects to get said pitching.
Exactly. But that's why they're running into a problem right now.
Uh-huh.
It's because the free agent market, and it's different now because it feels like the free agent market is exceeding what the Red Sox are willing to pay for guys. When
100%.
Theo was in charge and whatnot, like the Red Sox were top bidders on the free agent market, it felt like. But like now it's like the Red Sox aren't top bidders. They're not. Like, it feels like they're not willing to go to those lengths that these other teams are, and that's more of an ownership decision than anything, especially when you're talking about the top end free agents. That's more of an ownership thing.
Hold on, real quick. I want your guys' opinion. Do you consider the Red Sox to still be a big market team?
Yeah, they're a big market team. It's just, are they going to act like a big market team?
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, it's a good way of putting it, but okay.
History says yes, obviously. Recent history says no.
I think the better way of wording the question is, are they a big market team? They'll always be a big market team. It's, are they acting like a big market team?
Okay.
Because the answer to that, in my opinion, is no.
I mean, define big market team. Is it a team who has the resources? Is it because like the A's and the Rockies and the Royals, well, maybe not minus the Royals, but like you know who does and who doesn't. Can you spend $250 million on your payroll? Is that what a big market team is? So yes, the Red Sox can be a big market team if that's how you're defining it. Have they been the past 4 years? Well, they were what in spending? They haven't gone over the threshold. They've gone over their threshold once in the past 4 years, and they've been around what 10 and 12 in big spending. Is that a big market team? They probably haven't been acting like one, but yes, they can be if that makes sense. I
don't think you being a big market team changes. I think you either are or you aren't. And I think that like the Red Sox are, it's just they're not being what a big market team is. They're not acting like it. They're trying to act like a small market team, or at least a mid-market team.
Mid-market team.
Because here's the thing though. Like it's like the thing is like, who's the last massive free agent signing the Red Sox have had?
Price.
Story.
No, David Price.
I'd say Price. I don't think Story was massive.
Well,
no, so we're talking top end free agent
extension count.
No,
we're talking free agent. We're talking external acquisition.
So
Story
and Martinez then weren't like huge because they were both.
No, they weren't top end free agent signings. Were they important they're both important, but like they're not that top end free agent signing. The last
David
one
Price was the
Price.
top end free agent. JD Martinez was the missing piece to the puzzle.
Exactly.
Free agent.
Yeah,
That's the difference.
And then Story was kind of like, I don't know if it was a panic, but it was kind of like last.
No,
he
it was
wasn't their
100%
first
a panic.
option. I don't think he was
Yeah,
their first option.
I mean,
think they
Story
wanted to
only had
make him
two
look-
offers.
Then yes, it was Price. It was Price.
Story.
Yeah.
The only reason they got Story is because no other team wanted him. He had two offers. He had one
the
from the
Rangers
Texas
wanted him to-
Rangers, and they wanted him to play center field, which he said, "Yeah, no, have a nice day." And the reason he only got that offer is because he's from Texas.
Well, I don't know if he.
Oh yeah, looking back at it,
because they signed Seager and Semyon, and they're like, "Oh, well, you don't have any infield spots left. Oh yeah, you can go. How about you go play center field?" Like, kind of dumb, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know why they would have done that. Like, but like that's almost like just like offering a guy just for the sake of offering it. And like the Red Sox, like the Story thing, like is Story a good player? Yes, but like I said, he's not that top end free agent signing. It's been last guy was Price, and that is like a somewhat concern because it was Price, and then before Price it was Sandoval and Hanley Ramirez. Like,
right, yeah,
yeah, I guess
those were top end free agent signings, and
then before that it was what, Carl Crawford.
Yeah, exactly. And like that, they haven't had a ton of success with their last few top end free agent signings because they haven't had a ton. And the ones they've done, 3 out of the last because heading into 2013 there was no massive free agent signing, right? Heading into 2012 there wasn't. It was heading into 2011 when they got Crawford.
2013 was they got a bunch of B-level guys and Mike Napoli, Shane Victorino, Johnny Gomes, and they traded for other guys like Mike Carp and whatnot. And free agent Ryan Dempster, another one. And they won the World Series, and they said, "Oh, we found a new way of winning." And then they were in a massive rebuild, right? But the big difference between, because you got to remember, after 2011, it was like, we're moving on from the old core and going to a new core. The Betts, Bradley, Bogarts core was starting to develop. While those players were developing in 2013, 14, 15, they still spent the money, right? While this new core is developing, they're not really doing that.
And I think I'm glad that we've emphasized this because I think the most important part to point out is it's obvious that they restricted Bloom on how much he could spend. Obviously.
I can't believe I'm saying this. Sorry to interrupt you, but Bloom might have been the scapegoat all along.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm saying that.
I think I was kind of always on Bloom's side. I was like, I think he's doing a fine job with what he can. It's hard. Passan tweeted it out right when he got fired. If you're going to focus on payroll, major league and minor league, on all three,
it's almost impossible.
It's impossible. 2 at once is very hard. And I think he did a good job with the cards he was dealt. And if they moved on from him to spend, but aren't going to spend, this is an ownership issue. And the lack of success goes on John Henry and Fenway Sports Group. That's my opinion, and I've said that for a little bit now. Also, side note, Carabas just tweeted, I just ordered $60 worth of friendlies for myself. I will be invoicing the Boston Red Sox for this.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, that's the state of Red Sox fans right now.
Oh, God. It's bad, man. I think this has been a good therapy session. I mean, I kind of tweeted it out, but this morning I was at an all-time low with this team. I'm like, what the hell are we doing? Did you guys listen to a little bit of the latest Name Redacted? No. Basically, Carabas got a a text from a really reliable source. Probably, he said, the most reliable source.
Oh.
And he wasn't kidding. He's like, that's like what Merlonian family uses, right? He said they're going to make a strong effort at Yamamoto, but if they don't get him, I don't know if there's going to be much spending at all. Something on the lines of that.
Jason, and honestly, that wouldn't shock me.
If that's the case,
that wouldn't shock me either.
Not going to a Red Sox game this summer. You can go, but
okay.
Nope.
Yeah.
No. If they're
I will go while I'm at school, and I will buy a student 9 ticket because I'm not spending more than $9.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Derek, me and you will go
Yes.
I just think.
when I come.
Ugh.
Whoa.
What?
Oh, shut up!
Gosh.
Damn it! You got me there.
I just think if that's the case,
Damn it.
if that's actually the case, they're pushing off spending for another year.
Although next year's free
Okay.
agent class is stupid.
I'll put it fair enough. But if they wanted pitching, they can get it this year. And I'll put it this way: if they push off spending again for this year, and it's Giolito, and you get where I'm going. If it's Giolito and somebody like that, then I would say they aren't even coming close to acting like a big market team. The reality is they can sort out their lineup like this. They have enough options available. We went over them before, but figuring out the rotation is not as easy. There are a couple guys available, a couple 2s or 3s, and some guys with upside like Giolito, but it's so hard for them to hit on that top option. And I don't know if they'll be able to.
We want to talk about top options. You know how I'm having a little bit of a change of heart on?
Who?
Bobby
Blake
Dahlbeck.
Snell.
Why?
I'm not totally against him at this point.
It's because we're so desperate. It's because
not even that.
Stay away from him.
I think
Sorry to interrupt.
Who he is.
Sorry.
I think you gotta understand who he is. Like, yes, he has his faults, but for all the talk, there's always talk of this guy's not proven in the AL East. This guy's not proven in the AL East. Guess who's proven in the AL East?
Blake Snell. And he won a Cy Young at Tampa Bay.
And especially if the price for Blake Snell, especially coming off a Cy Young, doesn't seem to be that high, like, you got to explore it at the very least. Like,
yeah,
I'm not saying I'd be like super, super happy if they got Snell, but at the same time, like, depending on what the contract was, if they got Snell, don't think I'd be upset at it at this point.
Yeah.
Like, I think I can live with it because, yes, he walks a ton of people. That's because he throws everything on the edge of the plate. So literally.
Yeah.
He throws everything on the edge of the plate. But, like, when he throws stuff in the strike zone, guys can't hit it. They can't hit it. So they're almost better off not swinging because they know they're going to swing and miss if they do swing and hope and pray that he throws balls.
Yeah, to the point about Snell is he is by far the most upside out of guys available. And if they aren't going to trade for Burns or Bieber and they're not going to pull off something miraculous for Cease or Kirby, he's their best bet at a 1, right? I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
However, there are some strings attached. There are some red flags. Obviously, he was elite last year, and he was really solid in 2022. Obviously, 2018 was the Cy Young season, then regressed, then the COVID season, then didn't have another great season in 2021. But I wouldn't be pissed because he's their best bet at a 1 right now. That's the reality. He's your best option. I think the only thing is, say you give him a 6-year deal. That's 6 years locked up to a lefty. If you still want to go after a number 3 type, who's it going to be? Are you going to lock up? Are you going to also commit extreme money to another lefty like Imanaga or Montgomery? Probably not.
I don't think so. I think you got to get at least one guy though. That's the thing. And like, if they only were to get one guy, if it's now, I'm okay. Because at this point, I'm not just looking at 24. I'm also starting to look with an eye towards that 2024-25 free agent class, which is stupid. The talent in that free agent class is stupid. Like, you have guys like a Max Fried who's going to be available. Like, that's a number 1, right? As of right now, Walker Buehler is set to be available. Like, that's a number 1. He's a number 1 when healthy. Yeah. When healthy, he's the number 1. So, like, and like,
he's the ace of the Dodgers rotation. He has ace freaking potential.
Yeah, you have like Corbin Burns is going to be a free agent. The other thing too is, I would be looking, even if, like, obviously he wouldn't be their top free agent sign in terms of pitching. I think Brandon Woodruff's extremely interesting. I think he is extremely interesting. Yes, he's going to miss probably all of 24. Guess what? Get him on board for 25. Why not?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. And
I'd say give him a 2-year deal with an option for 2026.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate that at all. And I think he's going to get insane money. But
for sure. But he's
there.
there.
So good.
Right?
Now, Derek,
he's going to be there.
Derek, if they did go all in with Snell, who's your? So then you have Snell, Bayo, and at the end you have call it Sale and Cutter. Who's your 3?
Well, you still have Nick Pivetta, who can start.
Right, but can your
Right.
3, 4, 5 be Pivetta, Sale, Crawford? No, it can't be.
Probably
not-
okay. I don't think that's ideal, but at the same time, they can do a lot worse than that, right? So,
Now, what if
here's the thing. It depends on what other moves they make. Because if their only real move this offseason is Snell and that's it, and they don't really even bring in a bat, and it's maybe they bring in a second baseman, but it's not a great second baseman. It's you're just looking at it okay, not a good offseason. But if they bring in Snell and I don't know who would make sense. Let's see. Let's go to pitcher.
What Merrifield? Oh, pitcher wise. So
I'm trying to look at pitchers in terms of who would be another pitcher they would bring in.
Well,
I personally want Stroman, just because partially the chaos, but also too I think if you have Trevor Story playing shortstop with that defense, with improved defense, give me a ground ball pitcher and Stroman. The guy was the best pitcher in baseball for what, or at least in the National League, for 3 months last year. Plus, he started the year in the WBC. So you take out the fact that he started the season pretty much in February or March, whenever beginning of March or whatnot. You just take that out and you go, okay, if you can give us 4 months of being a very good pitcher, and then maybe you slow down a little bit near the end of the year. I think Stroman could make sense as a number 3. And also too, I don't Stroman's not going to be super expensive. I think you can get Stroman on a 2-year deal. I think you maybe roll with that 2-year deal with an option similar to what he signed with the Cubs.
What's Fangraphs say?
Fangraphs has him at 3 years, $66 million.
Ooh. Yeah,
does that show opt-outs or no?
That's a bit rich for him.
No. But you could. What if you give him 2 years with an option in total? It's $375.
What about 2 years? Yeah. What about a 2-year deal with a vesting 3rd year?
Do something. Not even vesting. Even if it's a player option. Do 2 years for 50 with an option.
Yeah, at that point, I wouldn't hate it, because at that point, Sale and Pivetta are both going to be off the books. So
yeah.
Yeah,
and you still have room to play with the luxury tax. I'm pretty sure this year too. You still have a
you're
lot
not
of
going
room.
over.
Are you gonna go? For
And 2, you could trade Nick Pivetta if you want to. Some team could use a starter, right?
We were talking about.
If you're not going to resign, because a Pivetta extension, if you're looking at a Pivetta extension, you might be looking at 4 years, $60 million, and
No,
I don't want to give Pivetta that.
Right.
No, after this season, if we keep him, it's thank you, have a nice day. No.
Exactly, and that's what I mean. I think you go get another starter, you can trade him, and I think that's the thing. And that because on top of the pitching next year in the free agent market, I'm gonna go through next year's free agent market. It's stupid. Pete Alonso, Paul Goldschmidt, Christian Walker.
Derek, we have 162 to go.
Alex Bregman.
We get there.
Jose Altuve, Brandon Drury. Let's see. Willie Adames,
Alex Verdugo.
Ha-Sung Kim, Alex Bregman, Yohan Moncada is not that $25 million club option is
Chris
not
Sale
accepted. Let's see. Franchi Cordero.
Oh, thanks.
There you go. Soto, obviously,
Derek,
I don't think he makes sense.
real quick. Tell Jack what you were telling me about Sale and how it's important for him not to do well this year.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Okay, you were there with us.
Yeah, essentially, Sale, if he gets a top 10, if he finished top 10 in Cy Young voting, his player option becomes a vesting option. And it vests for 2025.
His team option becomes a player option.
His team option. His team option becomes a vesting option. And it's only $20 million, so it's not as much money, but still,
right.
And $5 million in 2040.
Derek, to your Stroman point, would you rather them go with a little bit more certainty in Stroman, or would you rather them take a chance, Andrew Bailey pitching university with Giolito?
This might be wacky, but I think I'd rather go a Michael Lorenzen instead of a Giolito, because I feel that'd be a little bit cheaper.
Are we trying to save John Henry's money?
Even at that point, no. Bring Frankie Montas back to the Red Sox organization at that point. Screw it. Why not?
Interesting, guys. You know who hasn't been talked about at all? Matt Chapman.
But then I don't think he
knows?
fits.
No,
No,
I'm
he
not
doesn't.
saying for
No,
the Red
no,
Sox.
just
He
in
doesn't fit
general,
on the Red
though.
Sox unless Devers is
Oh,
everyday
oh, yeah.
I'm just saying in general, like nobody has talked about him.
No one's
Because
talked
it's
about a
so
lot of
pitching
guys. Yeah.
focused. The market's so pitching focused right now because like the position player market is like so dull. It is so dull. It's really Bellinger and Chapman, and that's it.
We haven't
And
mentioned
Bellinger
Duvall
supposedly
once.
wants like $200 million.
Bellinger, yeah.
Guys, we haven't
Does
mentioned
Bellinger
Duvall
have
once.
Boris?
He might. Yeah, Bellinger is a Boris guy. Yeah, he is.
So yeah, he'll probably get $200 million. Just what team?
Blue Jays maybe, might be.
I've been thinking about Bellinger.
It's a
for, like,
fit,
us,
and you know what's annoying? He fits in Toronto. Like Toronto could use a center
Like
fielder.
Richard? Sorry, that was bad. That was a bad miss.
Toronto could use a center fielder though. They don't have Kiermaier's gone. He's out the door. They don't want George Springer playing center field. So you need a center fielder.
Varsho.
Cool. He played left field last year.
Oh, okay.
They could use it. Not that he can't play. He 100% can play center field. But they could. I mean, Bellinger slide another Gold Glover right into center field. You keep Varsho and
He's
left.
a lefty. They're very right-handed heavy.
Exactly. And like you put him in that middle of the lineup, he kind of replaces Chapman's bat in some sense. Honestly, he's a better bat than Chapman.
No, he's yeah.
Especially for their lineup.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Yeah.
But like, where's
I think
Chapman
Toronto's
go?
going to do something big. What?
But where does Chapman go? Like, because it doesn't seem like it's going to be Toronto at this point. Like, not saying it
Arizona?
won't be, but like, I think that's an option. But like, is Arizona going to spend?
They just did for Eddie.
Yeah, they're probably top.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. Oh, let's talk about that Eddie. That Eddie signing is like I think that's a really good signing for them.
I agree.
Yeah. I think, you know what would be a good signing? Turner to the Orioles.
No.
Yeah.
Why
I don't
not?
see it either.
I don't need to see that. I'm good. I'll pass. No, thank you.
Yeah, I
don't
know
need to
where I
see that.
Yeah.
No, it's not that I don't see it. I just don't want to see it.
Right, but also
Keep him away. Also, too, Jackson Holiday finished the year in AAA last year. Like,
right.
It's not like
and they're working out like, yeah.
Turner would have to be an everyday DH for them, and like,
I
make
wouldn't
sense?
mind bringing back Turner. I wouldn't mind it.
no, I wouldn't.
I don't think
It just
anyone
goes
would.
against what they've been saying. That's the only thing.
I
I mean,
mind
them
it.
saying they've been going against the what they've been saying all offseason with full throttle.
Yeah.
Full
I feel like
throttle,
at this
more like
point you
full
can't really
brakes.
trust- yeah.
No, full throttle into a freaking right off a cliff. That's literally what it's been. That thing's going to bite them in the ass if they do nothing.
And you know what? I hope it does.
Me too.
We should make T-shirts. Full
Oh,
throttle.
I'll wear it every fucking day.
Full throttle. I can't believe, like, you can't say that and then do nothing. Like,
What the hell is he doing? What? What the hell is going? Oh my!
By the
what?
way, FSG is seemingly on the brink of leading a group of U.S.-based business people to a deal with the PGA worth around $3 billion.
yeah. Yep. Yeah. Oh, he also still wants the NBA team in Vegas. That's going to happen eventually, because we know it's happening eventually.
He just like the guy owns what, 3 professional sports teams and plenty of other investments.
He's got the Red Sox, Liverpool, the Penguins. He also has a NASCAR team. He wants the NBA team in Vegas. He supposedly bid on the Commanders when they were up for sale.
Right. Yeah. Dude, at what point are the Reds? I don't see him selling anytime soon, but
no, he's not selling
because the Red Sox make too much money.
Exactly, and like that's the problem.
The only way he's gonna sell is if we hit him where it hurts the most, right?
His pocket,
and
that's never gonna happen.
That's not gonna happen because
Yeah, that's
People
what
like me
sucks.
are still gonna go to the games, unfortunately.
Exactly.
But it's not even that. Like, yes, ticket sales account for a lot of it, but at the same time, Red Sox fans don't go to the games. Okay, what happens when they play the Dodgers and it's all Dodgers fans at Fenway, or they play the Yankees and it's all Yankees fans at Fenway, or they
They
play
don't
the
care
Mets
because
and it's
they're
all
getting
Mets.
money.
Exactly the point, and then you add on TV deals and every other source of revenue, sponsorship deals, every other source of revenue.
Well, people should stop
They're
paying
still
for
covered.
NESN 360. It's $30 a month, and that's outrageous.
It's
If
awful.
they own Nesson too. Talk about lining your pockets.
You can't even get Nesson out of market. It's so stupid.
Yeah, it's awful, and they black out the games on ESPN Plus too. Like
That's what I'm so mad about.
It's so annoying.
Oh,
the
okay. You
blackout
can't
thing's not a
really
Nesson
say
thing, that's a
they
league
black
thing.
out the ESPN games because
That's
you're
not a Nesson
you're
thing,
not
that's a
out of
league.
market.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, but still, like, if you're in Massachusetts, you can't watch the Red Sox.
But that's not a
on ESPN
Nesson
Plus.
thing. That's not a Nesson thing. That's an NHL. Like that's an NHL, MLB, NBA. Like that's all. Like that's a league
Is
thing.
it?
Speaking of NHL,
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think it is.
Yeah, no, it's a league thing.
Huh.
Because it's in their TV contracts.
they can turn off blackouts. They did it for Miggy's last game.
It's in their TV contracts so that they have to do blackouts. I'm pretty sure.
Bogus.
Okay.
It's so dumb.
That is.
It's dumb, but like I said, I'm pretty sure it's in their TV contracts. I'm pretty sure it's a league thing, because it's a way for the league. It's a way for the league and the teams to ensure that they're getting money on local TV deals. Because we see what's happening with the Rangers right now, with the fact that their TV deal just fell through, and how much it's financially hurting them.
So, what are teams like the Padres and Diamondbacks and now Rangers going to do? Because they were streamed on MLB Network.
So it's going to be for the Padres last year. It was $90 for the season if you're in market to get Padres games for MLB.
Is it still going to be via MLB Network? Do you know?
So it's still MLB TV, but the thing is, it's a totally separate package. You have to pay $90 for, even if you already have MLB TV. And that's so you can get your team's games in market. So if you were in San Diego, for example.
I see. No, I see.
If you're in San Diego and you already have MLB TV, doesn't matter. You still have to buy the extra $90 package to get Padres games.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way,
because they have to make money off. You
know how the Penguins stole the Pittsburgh Penguins stole the Nesson thing?
Yes.
That's going to happen for baseball too. That's happening for baseball too. It was recently announced. Jack, I don't know if you know what we're talking about, but
no,
the Pirates.
So the Pittsburgh Penguins are using like the Nesson scoreboards and Nesson like everything pre-game show, post-game show. They're using
all the Nesson presentation and graphics and whatnot.
Okay.
Now the Pirates are going to be using it because the whole network is owned by FSG, I think.
Yeah. FSG and the Pirates ownership.
Okay, gotcha.
It's like joint. It's joint owned. I'm pretty sure.
It's wild.
Go watch a Pirates game with the Nesson broadcast minus the. I mean, probably a better broadcast. I shouldn't say
Guys,
that.
I have an interesting topic. Alex Cora, last year's under contract as manager. He's suspected to get more than around what the Brewers gave their new skipper. It could be.
I mean, what the Cubs gave Council.
Correct. The former Brewers guy. Sorry.
Oh, that he's gone.
It could so Cora could get $8 to $10 million a year. What about Alex Cora? What did the Red Sox do there?
It's dependent on this year, which is dumb.
Yeah,
because if they don't give him a team to win,
it depends what he wants to do. Because this season he was pretty. He was pretty much dodging all the questions like, do you want to move upstairs in the future? And then like every counter is like, I'm focused on this year, being manager, because that's what I'm paid to do.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I think there's a chance he moves upstairs.
But I think money makes a difference too. Because if a team offers him $10 million to manage,
a team would. A team.
Exactly.
If the Red Sox fired Alex Cora right now, a team would be like, he's on. such a player's manager, and he has such good connections in
Yeah.
places like Puerto Rico and stuff.
Yeah, if a team gives him 62,000 a game, that's what 10 million a year would be.
I know Mr. Brown would like that if he was on
Yeah, I
another
mean,
team.
He's easily taking that, you know.
But like the thing is, Cora is like Mr. Brown's not here, so I can say this with no worries, but without hearing about how Alex Cora sucks. But Cora is one of the better managers in baseball. Like, let's just be honest, he is.
Maybe, but he cannot manage a bullpen. He cannot.
But is that really his fault? Like, look at the bullpen he's had the last couple.
Fair enough, but also, why did he say, "Yeah, Kike's done it short," and then play him at short? Like, you know what I mean?
I mean, they also didn't.
Some of it was the team wasn't good enough. That's fair.
Part of it was they didn't really have any other option.
So
part of it
what
was
makes him a good manager then? What makes him a good manager? Just the fact that everybody loves him and he gets along with guys well?
Well, I mean, Alex Verdugo didn't seem to get along with him.
Okay, but but like typically he's known for being a good locker room guy.
Yeah, I think that is a big part of it though, because like if the manager can't hold the clubhouse together, like you're in trouble, right? And I feel like Cora has been able to hold the clubhouse together for the most part. I know there was the 2022 incident and whatnot with like the team, but I don't really think that's a Cora thing. I just think
it's not a Cora thing at all, actually.
Exactly, and that's the thing.
What was the 2022?
When all the players started complaining because the White Sox
clubhouse culture.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yep. That's probably.
I don't think
that was just weird. I don't know.
If anything, he was probably on the player's side, but he wouldn't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Who do you guys think it was? Do you guys think it was Bogarts?
No, it wasn't Bogarts. It was like JD. Supposedly it was like Eovaldi, JD Martinez, Kevin.
It was 100% JD. He didn't give it. He didn't get he didn't give a rat's ass at the plate,
and that's why he's not coming back.
True.
Every single time, whenever I see someone suggest JD, I'm just like, shut up. Like, it's not happening. Like, no chance.
Be interesting to see where he ends up.
I don't think anyone from the 2022 team that is left is not coming back ever.
Oh, I wanted Rich Hill for his 8th stint.
I mean, I wouldn't have minded Waka, honestly.
He's already signed with the Royals.
No, I know. The Royals got him.
I don't know.
Years, 32 million, but I don't know. Derek, I got a question. When's Meyer ready?
Well, depends on progress on his shoulder in this offseason. Supposedly he's been doing well, but we don't really know. So I think it depends on how the shoulder progresses this offseason, how he comes back from that.
You have a range?
Not even a range, just like the shoulder in general and how it affects his swing and whatnot. And
no. Do you have a range for his return?
For range return, I'd say late 24, but I wouldn't be shocked if they hold off till 25.
Jason, you agree?
For his when he comes to when he comes to the big league team.
Yeah.
I think you got to give it till 2025 at the very earliest rather.
But I could see him tearing up the minors though and getting a call up, like late 24, like late.
Right. They don't want to.
They're not going to rush him. They're not going to rush him, but at the same time, if you if he plays, 50 games in, Double A and is just playing amazing and gets called up to Triple A, June, and then plays another very solid, 2.5 months, I could see him maybe being like a September call up, and maybe even a little earlier than that.
Now,
is it likely? Probably not. Like, it's probably not going to happen, but I can see a world where it definitely happens.
So say it's 25 opening day. You think Kyle Teal could also be ready for 2025 opening day?
I think he can be.
I think he can be ready this year.
I think he's similar. I think he's similar to Meyer. I think he's similar to Meyer in terms of time frame. It could be late 24, but it's probably the most likely outcome is 25.
And what about Roman Anthony?
I think he's 25. I don't see him getting called up this year.
Who makes it first, Anthony or Meyer?
Meyer.
Yeah, Meyer, definitely.
Much as because here's the other problem. Here goes back to this problem with Roman Anthony in the outfield logjam. You can't call up Roman Anthony if he's not going to play.
Right, of course. I mean, guys, everything. Sorry to interrupt, Derek, but everything's pointing to 2025 being like the Red Sox are here and it's time for them to play. Next
it has
year,
to be though.
Next year, the free agent market is insane. We've established that. If you have your 2 top prospects coming up and potentially like 2 top 20 in baseball,
I agree with what you're saying. Hold on, time out. I agree with what you're saying, but the thing that pisses me off is we've said that for the past 2 seasons.
Totally understand and totally understandable. I totally agree. But like 2025, this team's going to be legit.
Here's the thing.
Hope so. You're right.
Here's the thing. The prospects that they are developing legitimate prospects. The thing is, at some point, you can't just develop prospects. You have to do more.
Yeah.
You cannot, like, even when you look at teams like the Dodgers, for example. Yes, they've developed a ton of prospects over the last decade, we'll say. But it's not just all prospect development. They've made big trades when they needed to make big trades. They've made important free agent signings. They've gone out and made the big splash and gotten, Mookie Betts. They traded for Trey Turner and Max Scherzer. They went out and signed Freddie Freeman. Now they just signed Ohtani and Yamamoto, right? You look at the Astros. It's not just all player development for them. It's not just all developing prospects. Was that a big part of it? Yes.
Unique. They're a little bit unique.
Yeah, because they went through like a forever rebuild. It's a totally different situation. The Orioles are the closest thing to the Astros in terms of going through that forever.
The Astros' external ads to like the teams that have won the World Series haven't been. I mean, Verlander,
Cole, and Greinke were all external ads.
Yeah, Cole was. That's right.
And that was basically their rotation.
Yeah. Fair enough.
So it's like
obviously the Rangers is a good example.
Yeah, but like the Rangers had player development too, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, they developed a lot, but they also added.
Exactly. It was like you look at the Rangers roster, and this was a big like gripe I had with people just saying, "Oh, well, the Rangers just spent money and started winning." No, they didn't. Yes, they got Semien and Corey Seager. They have Adolis Garcia, who is, they literally got for nothing. They got Evan Carter, who they drafted in the second round in 2020. Josh Young was a first-round pick in 2019. Wow. Nathaniel Lowe, they got in a trade from the Rays. Jonah Heim, they got in a trade from Oakland. Leody Tavares was an amateur free agent signing back in 2015.
Even Ezekiel Duran for some time.
Yeah, and that was in the Joey Gallo trade.
Yep.
You even go further in terms like their position player group, and you want to start talking about Wyatt Langford, who they just drafted this past year, right? And he was their fourth overall pick. He was the fourth overall pick this past year, right? And so they definitely have talent. Like you have a guy in a Justin Foscue who was a first round pick for them.
And I think that's kind of what I was
even on the pitching side of things. Not like their pitching development has stagnated a bit, right? Like Jack Leiter has struggled, Kumar Rocker has struggled. What's his face? There's someone else there that was important that they drafted. Brock Porter hasn't played a ton. He made 21 starts this past year, but only 69 innings. Pitched well when he started, but he was drafted last year, and he's only pitched 69 innings so far. And so it's like, the pitching development
more external, but they did.
Yeah, because they did get Evaldi, but Evaldi wasn't super expensive. John Gray wasn't super expensive. They did get Dane Dunning in trade. They trade for Heaney. Yes, DeGrom was external.
Heaney was a signing, right? Heaney was a signing, I think.
Yeah, Heaney was. Yeah, but they traded for Dane Dunning in 2020 with White Sox. But a guy like a Jose Leclerc, who was their closer, amateur free agent signing back in 2010. That's a guy who's been with them. Josh Spores, they got in a trade with the Dodgers in 2021. Jonathan Hernandez, amateur free agent signing back in 2013. Some of these guys are for example, yes, Adolis Garcia was an external acquisition, but he wasn't a big money move. They got him for literally
They developed him.
Exactly. Well, nobody would say necessarily they developed him, but they turned him into the player that he is now in terms of if he would have continued sitting in that Cardinal system, he wouldn't be the Adolis Garcia we know today. Because probably because he just wouldn't have gotten the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And with the Rangers, they gave him the opportunity.
And even Mitch Garver, that was an external ad, but they got a lot out of him,
Yeah, and that wasn't even like some crazy trade. They got him for what?
Right.
It was like, I know Isaiah Kiner-Falefa was involved in the deal.
Yeah. What was that with
Like,
the Twins?
Yeah, because then they flipped Kiner-Falefa to the Yankees with
In the Trevino
Donaldson.
deal. Oh, Donaldson. Wait. Oh, yes.
And
the
Gary
Twins did
Sanchez,
that.
right?
Because it was almost like a 3-team like deal. Almost, it was weird. It was really weird. It's Garver. It was Garver for Isaiah Kiner-Falefa and Ronnie Henriquez, who was their pitching prospect.
Interesting. Okay.
So pretty much Garver for Kiner-Falefa straight up.
Wow, big win.
And like that's the thing. And then the Twins obviously they flipped Kiner-Falefa and then in the trade with the Yankees in the Donaldson trade because they got Urshela and what's his face. I don't even remember anymore. It's too long ago. But the point, Urshela and someone. Oh, let's see. It was Kiner-Falefa. It was Kiner-Falefa, Josh Donaldson, and Ben Rortvedt for Gary Sanchez and Gio Urshela. See, Gary Sanchez is so far out of my brain.
Ben Corvette! Yay! I love Ben Corvette.
What about the Padres? They're interesting.
I don't know what I don't know what the plan for them is. They're like, because they're saying they want to cut payroll. How are they cutting payroll?
Exactly.
Like, are you gonna like Musgrove has a full no trade, so you can't like. Good luck trading him, anyways.
Right.
But
and,
like, yeah,
nobody's taking on Darvish's deal.
I wouldn't say no one. I think like if they ate a significant portion of it, maybe. But I wouldn't necessarily say no one. But they'd still have to eat a decent chunk of that. But like, no one's trading for Bogarts. You're not trading like you're not going to trade Machado.
Cronenworth maybe.
I could see Cronenworth getting dealt. Like, I'm the only like that's the problem. Like, where are they cutting this? You know, where's this payroll getting cut? Like, you look at the payroll right now. What Machado's not going anywhere. Bogarts isn't going anywhere. Musgrove's not going anywhere. Darvish isn't going anywhere. Like, you could deal Robert Suarez. He's making $10 million a year. You could deal him. You could deal Cronenworth.
$10 a year too.
You could deal Cronenworth. You could deal Ha-Seong Kim. That's $8 million. But like the only other guy is like Tatis, but you're not going to trade Tatis.
But you might have to.
I got a passing notification right now that said the Red Sox are in a deal with the Padres for shortstop / center fielder Fernando Tatis.
It'll be shortstop / right fielder.
/ right fielder, sorry. For Fernando Tatis. The Red Sox are sending Roman Anthony and I don't even know what that would cost, but oh my gosh, I would be so happy.
Dude, I'll be happy for any big free agent.
Here's a good question to end off on, as we're going to wrap up soon. When is the Red Sox first real move?
2025.
Well, what are we considering real move? Like major league signing that should have like some impact. That's not just like
yes. If they give away, you know it when you see it. If it's not 1 year, $2 million. If it's basically not that. If it's more than 2 years, $20 million.
It ain't happening until January. That's what I'm saying. It ain't happening until January.
Wow.
But like that's just how the offseason works, though. It's like, let's be honest. Happens every single year. One guy holds up the market, and then in extreme cases like this year, then after that one guy signs, a second guy holds up the market.
Who held up the market before last year? So last year was Judge, obviously.
Yeah, last year was Judge. The lockout was the year before.
That's what it was. The lockout.
Then the offseason before that was
2020.
Yeah, COVID offseason. So that was just weird. And then in 2019, I don't even remember what the 2019-20 offseason was.
Was that Rendon? Garrett Cole?
Yeah, that was Cole and Rendon.
Oh yeah.
And Cole held up the market. Remember that? That lasted until the winter meetings. And then Cole and Rendon both felt like that because the Angels went, like I said, they took the check they were going to give to Cole and just crossed out his name, put Rendon's name on it, and just gave it to him.
If they got Cole, their past few years would have looked so different.
Oh my God, it would have been so different. But Cole wanted to go to the Yankees, which I mean, you can't blame him. He was a Yankees fan when he was a kid. You can't blame him for going to the Yankees.
You can't blame him. He wanted to spend more time with his father, Rafael Devers. You can't blame him. You can't blame him.
You can't blame him. But also too, though, just in general, like you it makes sense why he went to the Yankees. Like, I think the rumors with the Angels, I think the Rangers also gave him less money too. I think the Yankees outbid the Angels anyways. So I
can't even remember.
I don't even remember. It's too long ago.
We missed who held it up in the lockout year. Garrett Richards held up the entire market.
Oh my God.
No, he ended up getting what was it? 1 year for $10 million?
I don't even remember.
The $10 million special.
Also, Story held up the Red Sox. You guys remember Story held up the Red Sox after the lockout because everyone's signed someone and Story was just sitting there, wasn't signing because he only had the offers from the Rangers to play center field and then from the Red Sox, and the Red Sox deal wasn't really near what he wanted.
And that screwed up his beginning of the season because he barely got spring training.
Yeah, and then as soon as he signs, a couple days later, he's gonna leave because he's having a kid.
Yeah, and then his wife was pregnant. Poisoning.
It's that was a big thing, and I think a lot of people do forget that Story has not yet had a full spring training with the Red Sox. He's not even had a full off season, really, with the Red Sox.
Yeah. Real quick, I remember what happened. I forget what we were doing in school. We just got out of something, and then we read the tweet from Cotillo. He underwent the elbow surgery. Do you remember that?
Yes, we were in wellness. Yes. That's exactly what it was. That surgery came out of nowhere, kind of, right?
That was right after Correa signed.
It might have been. We were all over the place.
Derek, if you didn't know, me and Jack went to the same high school.
Good memory there, Jason. Hey, guys, I was talking to somebody, and he brought up an interesting point. A minimum time for MLB players to sign.
Here's the problem, though.
Ooh.
You give them a minimum time. The problem is after that time's up, what the heck else is going to happen? Nothing else is happening. Yeah, but trades are few and far between. Trades that are important are few and far between. Fair enough. And it's
it was an interesting thought. Guys,
and here's the thing, it's not a bad idea in theory, but the problem is what's going to happen is you're just going to wait till the last couple of days, then everyone's going to sign on the last couple of days, almost like the trade deadline where everyone waits for the last couple of days to make their trades.
Right.
It'll make those last couple of days fun, but up until then, it's going to be the most annoying thing ever.
I think we that's fair enough. I think we haven't talked about who is going to take steps forward, because that's going to be a big part of the season. Is Costas going to take away Costas' first month and a half and bang, his numbers go way up? Is Yoshida going to take a step forward with his conditioning? What's Duran going to look like? Is Story going to get back to where he was? Is Bayo going to fall off in September again, or is he going to stay solid? I'm really excited to see that part of the season, that's for sure.
Yeah. I think Costas will take another step because he had such a slow start the next year. I think his overall numbers are just going to look better next year. I think we're going to get a Devers bounce back. Here's the thing: before the hamstring injury Devers had in 2022, he was a top 5 hitter in baseball up until that point. Then he gets the hamstring injury, and then he was league average the rest of the way. So, I want if you can get that Devers back, top 5 hitter in baseball Devers with a Costas who's seemingly going to get better, and you have Trevor Story hopefully back to his best. Yoshida, if Yoshida can keep it up through a full season instead of just the first half, right?
Yeah, And
remember too, he played in the WBC too, so there's also that.
You know what's interesting? Nobody's ever talked about how Devers best season of his career was 2019, which was like 5 years ago now, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Is he going to get back to that? How many homers did he hit that year? What was that, like 39?
30. No. I don't know. 2021, he hit like what, 38?
He hit 38 and 21. He had 32
20.
and 19. He had 38 and 21. He had 33 this year. He had a
30, 100 guy.
He had
a weighted runs
54
created.
homers, and he had 54 doubles in 2019.
Yeah, exactly.
32, 150.
He had over, what, 200 hits?
Yeah, 201.
Yeah,
201. I was at that game.
His OPS was
It was at Mookie's last game. Oh,
his OPS
crazy.
was 916. And Derek, by the way, to get you on the Rhys Hoskins train, we know how good Devers is. His career OPS is 853. Hoskins is 856.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying like I said, I'm not saying I'm against Rhys Hoskins. It's just the fact that it goes against everything they've been saying in terms of like the DH.
Fair enough.
That's the thing. And at the same time, you just had Justin Turner. And I think they'd probably rather bring him back. But like I said, I'm not against Rhys Hoskins, just goes against everything they've been saying.
That was also
and also too, I like Mitch Garver a little bit more, but that's more of like a personal thing.
As a bat,
I like Garver more. It's more fun.
Fair enough. Also, that year was Devers' second in a full out of the 5 full seasons he's played, not counting 2020. He struck out the second to least most that year. 2019, he was on a different level. A little bit less power, but all around more slugging because he was getting so many 2-baggers.
Yeah. You get 4 triples that year too.
And how many doubles was it? 54?
54.
Timeout. Okay, hold on. Before we go, Ken Rosenthal just came out to what I'm hearing, and he mentions that the Red Sox are a club that's showing interest in Teoscar Hernandez, who has averaged 26 home runs in his last 5 full seasons.
I considered bringing him up when we were talking about DHs.
I'll say what I think quickly. I'll say my piece quickly.
And we'll wrap it up.
Probably elaborate a little bit more. I don't hate it, but the thing is, like we were talking about it before. They literally have an outfield surplus right now. How are you going to add one more guy? So then you're probably guaranteeing that Duran or Rafaela is gone. Then you're looking at, like, is Ref Snyder going to make the team? Like, at what point is just like...
Hernandez and Yoshida would flip-flop between DH and left field.
Yes, exactly. And then you have, I guess, technically...
And that's like the same, but that's like the same reasoning on, like, a Jorge Soler. It'd be the same situation with him.
If they did that with Teoscar, I'd stay away from Soler. But if they did that with Teoscar...
Oh, no, but I'm saying, like, it's a similar situation. If
I know that.
Or Soler, it's the same thing.
What I'm saying is I would prefer Teoscar than Jorge Soler. I'm not the biggest Teoscar guy, but if they did that and then got, like, a decent second baseman, I'd be fine with the lineup.
You just kind of... I mean, I don't know who plays where in that situation, though. I think here's the thing: if you get Teoscar, you're not getting a DH. You're getting Teoscar and Yoshida. So I think your projected lineup, your like in terms of outfield configuration, would be like Yoshida with DH, Teoscar and left, they'd flip flop, whatever, and then you have Duran in center and Abreu in right. And then
it's hard to say though because it almost guarantees one of those 3 is out, is moving.
But then O'Neill would be on the bench. You would assume Ref Snyder's staying on the bench, and then Rafaela could go to AAA.
I think you're guaranteed, close to guaranteed. Well, maybe not guaranteed. I think there's a really strong chance that Rafaela, Duran, or Abreu is traded. And on top of that, I think O'Neill's definitely starting the season on the bench.
I wouldn't say definitely.
That's just what I'm feeling.
I think
he's your
right-handed guy. Role.
He's a Gold Glove guy with pop.
That is true.
I don't think so.
Here's the thing. I think Duran gets, if they want to make a big move for starting pitching, especially controllable starting, I think Duran can definitely get traded.
Definitely.
I think he definitely
has him valued so high.
Yeah. But you don't even that. It's just like when you look at guys who are playing center field, like has Duran's defense gotten better? 110%. It's gotten better. But you're not putting Cedar Rafaela anywhere else in the outfield other than center field, and Duran is not playing right field.
Can Cedar really not play right?
No, it's not that he can't play right. It's that he's so good in center field, you don't move him out of center field. Except
for that one bad play.
But like that's one.
That's a rookie mistake.
Yeah. I know.
But like
I'd rather him make it then. And sorry, you go.
he's so good in center. It's like with Jackie Bradley Jr., right? It's like, yeah, they could have put him in right field, but he's so good in center. Why would you move him?
Yeah,
Because yes, at Fenway you can make the argument of Rafaela in right field, but everywhere else you go, you want him in center field. So it'd be kind of dumb.
Right.
And like I said, Duran's not playing right field.
There. Yeah.
Duran's not playing right field anytime.
Yeah, he just doesn't have the arm really. Well, maybe he could, but it's unlikely.
It's not ideal at all. And I don't think he's even played right field.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah. So are we gonna wrap it up here? And Jack, I think I know you have to go.
Yeah, it's 9 now, so I kind of got to sign off.
So
boys,
real quick
show.
on Duran, in the big leagues, he's played 47 innings in right field.
Yeah, so not much.
And 46 of those innings were in 2022.
You find that on Fangraphs?
Yep.
Yeah, so it's definitely that's 100% accurate too. So
yeah,
that's not going to be an option. Not sure how much I love Abreu. He's not too quick on his feet over in that deep.
He's not super quick, but okay, I'll use an example. Him and Rafaela and Worcester were like a really good center field right field duo. Really good. And Abreu was very good defensively in Worcester. Totally different right field though. A lot less ground to cover. But I think I think you could live with him in right field.
And he has a pretty good arm too. We saw it when he played left. So yeah, what would you say he has like a pretty good arm, right?
Yeah, I think he can play right field for sure.
Yeah.
Remember they put him in center field for 85 innings last year, Abreu. Think about that. They put him in center field, right? He played the position he played the most in the big leagues last year was center field.
Yeah. And that's
like
plenty
that.
Of ground
that says something.
Yeah, he could be fine. I mean, that Vasquez trade looks awesome.
Oh my gosh! It's for like what 2 months of Vasquez because the Red Sox weren't making the.
And he caught a no-hitter in the World Series, so they don't care.
Yeah. Oh no, it's a win-win trade because the Astros he helped them win a World Series, and for the Red Sox they got 2 guys who are going to help them, and not just like 1 year, long term for
especially
literally.
Abreu,
Yeah, especially for 2 months of Vasquez, that didn't matter because they seemed like they're going to miss the playoffs anyway, considering the terrible attitude of that team.
Yeah. All right, boys, I got to head out. But Jason, Derek, great job tonight. Great show. And we'll talk to you guys later, I'm sure.
Yep. For Jack, for Derek, I'm Jason. Thanks for tuning into the live show. And go Sox.
Yes, sir.